honor him. In Acts 13 verse 2, the Bible said the people in Antioch, the leaders in Antioch, he said they fasted and they ministered to the Lord. And I showed you a few examples yesterday on how to minister to the Lord. If you will go through the scripture very quickly, I saw that she activated one scripture while she was talking. Because there are many scriptures in the Bible where powerful and wise men were ministering to the Lord. For example, and that's when you will know the stature of a man. The stature of a man is not the title he bears. The stature of the man is the depth of his communion with God. You know, when Hannah had need for a child, she was laboring to get a child and the child was not coming. So an intelligence was furnished in her that the quickest way to route her need is to minister to the Lord. And so Hannah went to the temple, and the depth of her communion was so much that she didn't have letters to communicate it. Her mouth was shivering. And somebody who was a high priest, who was supposed to look upon her and discern the intercourse that was taking place, was not aware, because Eli's eyes were dim. He could no longer perceive spiritual things. And he looked at her and said, stop this, your drunkenness. When will you stop this? And was rebuking somebody who was high in the spirit. And Hannah looked upon her and said, no, this is not an act of drunkenness. I am overwhelmed with grief. So I am entering into God. I am pouring into God. The proof of what was happening there was in 1 Samuel chapter 2 verse 1. And Hannah said, my mouth is enlarged over my enemies. She began to say things that the high priest did not know, because those ones were not written in scrolls. They were written in the spirit realm. He said, my mouth is enlarged over my enemies. And she began to say certain things that were strange. He said, there is no holy as the Lord. How did you know? Because even the angels that are in heaven, the best they knew about God was that you are holy. How did you now know that there are other holy spirits, but there is none holy as the Lord? You know that because your spirit is separated unto God, now your spirit is holy. You know that the angels, because they are separated to God, they are also holy. But Hannah, on account of where she entered with God, she was able to survey all the spirits in the spirit realm, and she came to a conclusion that of all the spirits that are holy, he said there is none holy as the Lord. Now that kind of prayer is not God give me something. That is a prayer of acknowledgement of who God is, and on the strength of your discernment of who he is, you can give him a kind of praise that you didn't pick from a textbook. That kind of praise comes out of your spirit because your spirit has had intercourse with God, and it is what you have discerned about God that is peculiar to you that you are able to talk about. He said there's none holy as the Lord. He said there is none beside him. He checked all the other spirits that claimed they were gods. She now discovered all of them were fake. So you will know that where Hannah traveled to was a place deeper than give me a child, because what she was looking for was a child. But when she began to commune with God, she went beyond the place of receiving. She went to a place where she could internalize dimensions in the spirit, and she began to communicate them. If you brought Eli to that school, Eli will be a student, because what Hannah was saying, the high priest didn't know it. They said there is none beside him. That means any other being that says he's a god is a liar. That's what Hannah was saying. Number one, you are the most holy. Number two, there is no other being that can claim that is a God apart from you. You are the only God that exists. Because when I entered the chronicles of the spirit and I looked, there was no other person that had the authority that you command. So you alone have to be the source of all spirits. And then in order to buttress it, he said he breaketh the bowl of the mighty. He said those who were weak, he kindled with strength. He lifted the beggar from the dust. He lifted him from the dunghill. He puts him among princes so that he will inherit thrones. He said the pillars of the earth are the Lord's, and he established their dominion thereof. How did you know where the pillars of the earth were? Because at this point he was now eulogizing God as the almighty creator. Those kinds of things, they don't hear them in the public. You hear them in the place of intercourse, where God himself begins to whisper into your spirit, this is who I am, this is what I represent. And so when you come back to him, you begin to tell him what he is that nobody else knows. On the strength of that depth of communion, God begins to enjoy and begin to have pleasure, because that's the only way you can give God pleasure. You don't really give God pleasure when you cast your offering on the altar. That offering is used for administration. The only thing that gives God pleasure is when you can discern him, and on the strength of your discernment of him, you begin to eulogize him. That's what the 24 elders and the 4 beasts do forever and ever. Holy, holy, holy is the Lord. And they are saying that repeatedly. You are hearing it and you think it's a boring song because it's repetition, but God is hearing something different, because they are exploring depths of God that nobody can study. Holy is the Lord. That was the kind of intimacy that Hannah entered into. And we said that dimension of intimacy is called ministering to the Lord. It is the first order of priesthood. And so if you want to be a priest of God, you must also master how to minister to the Lord. The psalmist was speaking in Psalm 29, and he said, bless the Lord. He said, for he's full of majesty. He said, for the voice of God is full of glory. He said, the voice of God thundered it. He said, the voice of God divided the flames of fire. The voice of God discovered the forest. This is only the voice of God that somebody is talking about. He's not talking God yet. He just picked only the voice of God, and he was talking about the voice of God. He said the voice of God causes the hind to calve. How can a man be talking? These guys could sing God forever and ever, and they will not be exhausted. For such people, God separates them unto himself and calls them his priest. You are not a priest because you went to a ritual. You are a priest because you have mastered how to minister to the Lord. And every one of us that is born of God, our first assignment in existence is to know how to minister to the Lord. Because the first way your life will glorify God is not to go out and win souls. Is to first of all know how to give thanks, give praise, honor, and glorify him. Because if you don't do that, what will you teach the soul that you want? It is called ministering to the Lord. And I said the second dimension of priesthood is the act of beholding him. It may not mean much to you until you are married. The women who are married here, they understand. A woman can be excited from morning to evening if she dresses and comes out and the husband just looks at her and says, my God, what a beauty. She will just become shy. Now, if the husband wants to go deeper, as she's shy, he will now begin to analyze her from her eyelashes. He will analyze the eyelashes, analyze the skin color, analyze the fingernails, analyze the hairdo, and then the garment she's wearing. Because of that analysis, the next day, that woman will take a bath by 5 a.m. because she wants to hear it again. She wants to hear. And if the man keeps saying it, the man will be in trouble because all her money will finish in her wardrobe. Because she will do anything to keep hearing what the man is saying. Now, when you begin to behold God and marvel at his glory, there is something he does to the heart of God that is so deep. And so I said, when people begin to grow in priesthood, one of the things they do is that they search and seek God just to look upon him. It's like they are missing God so much that they are willing to leave the world, the noisy world, and go to that secret place just to wait, either to hear him or to see him. And they can look upon him forever and ever. They will not be satisfied. If your heart begins to fine-tune into that texture, it means you are beginning to grow in priesthood. Because everything a man loves, he beholds. That's why men labor to get glorious things, so that you can look at it. Most of us who labor to dress well and to wear a lot of ornaments, if people no longer appreciate them, we will dump them. That means 90% of what we wear, we don't wear because we like them. We're actually wearing them because people like them and they appreciate them. If people stop liking and appreciating what you are wearing, 90% of the time you will stop wearing them. So the reason you are wearing your suit and feeling confident is because you are feeling that the people looking at you are appreciating and admiring what you are wearing. If you wear it out and they look at you and say, what kind of dress is this? You go back to the mirror. Your confidence will just collapse. What's wrong with what I'm wearing? And then somebody else, this is a local dress. This is a local dress. But I thought this suit was expensive. I bought it for 2,000 shillings. You will now start regretting why you wasted that money. And so every being wants to be beheld. And so one thing priests do is that they behold God and appreciate his beauty, appreciate his glory, and appreciate his excellence. You know, at this point, you are not even talking much. You are just there because you are waiting for him. And the reason you are waiting is because you want to see him. You want to look upon him. He said they looked up to him and their faces were radiant and they were not ashamed. So there is an act of priesthood called beholding him. In 2 Corinthians 3:18, he said, we all with open faces, beholding as in a glass the image of the Lord, we are changed. Now, when you begin to behold God, what God does is that thing you admire so much, he now puts it on you so that you begin to represent him. So the beauty of man is tied to the quality of their beholding because you reflect what you behold. And so one thing priests do is that they behold God until they become like him. That I may behold him, that I may look upon him, that I may gaze at him. If there is a hunger in your spirit strong enough to make you separate yourself just to go look upon him or to hear him, it means you are a high-ranking priest in the spirit. When you want to distinguish between babes and the mature, find out what takes them to God's presence. When the babe comes to God's presence, he has a need. When the need is over, he goes. But when you find a priest, he doesn't go there because he has a need. He wants to see something. He wants to hear something. The presence of God, he's addicted to the presence of God like marijuana. He will keep looking and he never gets satisfied because the more he sees, the more he wants to see. God becomes like an endless beauty, fountain of beauty that he never gets exhausted seeing. He will look upon him and look upon him yet again. It's called priesthood. Priesthood is the act of beholding God, because as you are beholding God, God is pouring himself into you. So the first dimension of priesthood requires you acknowledging and glorifying him. The second dimension of priesthood requires you appreciating him, loving him, honoring him, and just marveling at him. It's a sign that God is your priority. It's a sign that God is your all. It's a sign that God is the biggest thing of value in your life. You will not understand how value is judged until you have something worthwhile. The day they give you a Lamborghini, you will not be able to sleep. You wake up at 12 midnight and pack the curtain and look whether it's still packed. You that used to wake up by 8 a.m. or 9 a.m. because there's a Lamborghini in the compound, by 5:30 you want to take a walk and you are looking at the car. You check the silencer, the exhaust, you look at the tires. These tires are big. Every day you are seeing new things. Sometimes you just go and sit inside the car, not because you are going anywhere. You own it And when the engine is steaming, you are looking at the speedometer. You are touching some things. The wood they use here. You are just touching. You are just looking. Because your affection is tied there. And so in priesthood, the way God judges your affection is what you will do just to look upon him. And so priests who are actually practicing the art of priesthood, one thing they do is to look upon God. They can be there for 3 days just to hear a whisper. And the moment they see or hear God, their heart is full of joy. That joy, you can't take it from them. Things may be wrong, but they are happy. And you are wondering, why are you excited in the midst of chaos? Because they have something you can't take from them. You can take money from them. You can take car from them. But this one, you can't take it. It's their spirit. And that's when you become like Mount Zion that cannot be moved. Because you are a beholder of God. The Bible spoke concerning Moses. It said the reason he was able to abandon Egypt was because he saw him that was invincible. And so when you find a man always going to the place of prayer, it's because of what he's seeing and hearing. It's not because of the answers he's getting necessarily. Yes, he will get answers. But even in the season where there are no answers, he keeps going there. Because he just wants to see God. He wants to touch God. Nothing grants him fulfillment like touching God. That's a priest. If you want to rise as a priest, you must love and master the art of beholding. There are things bigger than impartations. There are certain things that are practiced. You practice your way into those realities because it will take a daily exercise for you to come into full stature of their operation. Many times when we come for meetings like this, people want to touch you, they want you to prophesy over them, lay hands on them. It will bring you a dimension, but that dimension will have a consecration. If you don't have that consecration, the dimension will lift. The reason I started laboring in the spirit is because I discovered every dimension rests on the consecration. And so when you are imparted, you will enjoy it for a season, but the dimension will begin to call on the consecration that it rests upon. If you cannot provide the sacrifice of that consecration, the dimension will go back. I traveled once upon a time to see a great apostle called Randy Clark, and he laid hands on me saying, you will walk in the glory realm. I will pray for people. I didn't have faith. People were being healed. Terminal diseases. I said, it's time to start the global healing ministry. If this thing is this easy, I now started condemning most of the preachers. Is this how simple this thing is that they made it difficult for us? No wonder. Thank God. After 2 weeks, the impartation began to demand fasting. The impartation began to demand long hours prayers. And I couldn't pray like that. Long hours prayer. Sometimes in the night, I would sense like praying. I would just be awake. And I didn't want to pray. When I struggled with the consecration and I didn't keep it, after a while, I went back to status quo. Because in every dimension rests on the consecration. And so one of the things that will make you a priest is to pay the price of beholding. When you see somebody coming with glory and excellence, if you like, go and buy the same suit he wears. Your glory level will be different. Because that glory is beyond the suit. The glory is what has rubbed off because of his beholding. A man can wear a suit, pull it and give you. You will wear that suit the next day, you will look like a caricature. Meanwhile, when you saw the suit on him, you wanted to die. You have the portrait in your office. But when you wore the same suit, you now discover there is something more than the suit that he's wearing. It's the glory of God. And that glory comes only if you behold. This is the secret of priests. And this is why when priests show up, things happen. Things don't happen just because they spoke in a certain way. You can come to a place and shout. When you finish shouting, they will slap you. And then you will know that you need much glory beyond a deep voice. It's called beholding. The third thing priests do is to wait. Waiting is an acknowledgement of the fact that you know he's a king. I don't want to read scriptures. There are many scriptures I've read, but it will take our time. When Moses was called up by God and he climbed up the mountain, Moses climbed the mountain, the glory of God descended, God was not there. Moses waited for 8 days before God showed up, but Moses didn't go away. Because Moses acknowledged that he is the king, he is the servant. God is the king, I am the servant. So my job is to wait upon him. That act of waiting is called worship. And it is on the strength of that waiting that God will give to you with strength. The Bible said, they that wait upon the Lord, he said they mount up with wings like the eagles. So when a man wants to mount up with wings, he needs to learn the art of waiting. There are many people who wants to fly, but they don't know the technology of flying. You don't fly by jumping, you fly by waiting. There is a wing that you have that will never be activated until you learn how to wait in God's presence. And so when you see things happening with people, don't copy them. You will have accident. Don't copy them, you will die. Find out what they are doing. When you do it, the same thing will begin to happen naturally. The moment you begin to struggle, it means your flesh is what is sponsoring it. But when you wait, God will carry you. And so men who have strength that never deplete, they understand something about priesthood. And what they understand about priesthood is the art of waiting. Our generation is a hasty generation. People can speak in tongues for 10 hours. So that they too will have the badge. That they have also spoken in tongues for 10 hours. But they're actually not interested in God. Your prayer can mean many things, but your waiting means one thing. Your waiting means only God's presence counts. So when you are done waiting, sometimes God will see whether you wait for him. When you are done outlining what you need, God will see whether he is the one you are looking for. He said unto Abraham, be careful to note that I am your shield and your exceeding great reward. If you don't wait for me, every other thing will vanish. I am the answer you are looking for. And so when you want to find somebody who practices priesthood, one thing he does is that he makes sure that he encounters God from time to time. And the way he engenders it is by waiting. When he's done praying for 7 hours and his spirit becomes quiet, he still waits. Because the prayer is not complete until God shows up. Because prayer is not a monologue, it's a dialogue. When you are done talking, wait for God to come and talk. Because if God have not spoken, you have not prayed. You only talk to God. Are we together? And so priesthood entails waiting on the Lord. And I assure you, this is one thing that is difficult for us to do. We can wait before a television. We can wait before a football match. We can wait before a program. I remember the period where demons sanitized Africa with some programs called Telemundo. Telemundo is a semi-pornography. And then you'll see young ladies waiting for every evening. They are waiting. The moment is 6 o'clock. They are on the front of the TV. They will check whether they've started. They will check. They will check. You go to certain houses, 3 ladies are waiting. If the program is not yet on, they will start discussing about what happened yesterday. And they'll start predicting what will happen today. All of that, they are gingering themselves to wait. Because of the hunger they have for the world system. But when it has to do with God, wait for 10 minutes, everybody is dozing off. Because there's no passion for God. There's no hunger for God. And so when God wants to see how much of himself he can commit to you, he will test your patience or waiting. Because the degree of your waiting is what determines how much of God you can handle. If you cannot wait long enough, he cannot give you much of himself. If you have the tenacity to wait, God can give you all of himself. Men who carry God so much, they have a lot of patience in God's presence. And so God now is sure that it is him they are looking for, not what he has to offer. Because those who need what God has, God can easily give it to them to go. Hope you remember when Abraham was settling his children, the Bible said he gave gifts to the sons of Keturah, but to Isaac he gave the promise. God can give you the things you are looking for, but you will never have God. The men who have God are the men who are passionate about God and God only. And the proof that you are passionate about God is not to preach about him, is the degree to which you can wait for him. If God doesn't show up in 2 weeks, do you have the stamina to wait? If God doesn't show up in 1 year, do you have the stamina to wait? If God does not show up in 2 years, do you have the stamina to wait? I know you are supposed to start ministry, but what if God has not given go ahead? Can you wait for 5 years? If you can't wait for 5 years, it means that ministry is not God sending you. You are looking for a system to merchandise people, and you want something that you can put the logo of God on. That is not God. And that's why you see many people run into accidents in destiny, because they didn't wait for God. They were too ambitious to do something, and God became a delay. And as far as they are concerned, even God cannot delay them. And so they will move ahead. God will meet them on the road. It's Satan that will meet you first, because Satan always comes first. He said, the thief cometh not but for to kill, to steal, and to destroy, but I am come. Satan is the one that comes first, so you better wait for God.